0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, good evening. It's 9 o'clock. I'm Nana Akweer, covering for Patrick Christys tonight.
I know nothing. What? I know nothing.
Yes, today's Daily Record front page. Nicola Sturgeon does her best Manuel from Fawlty Towers impression after her estranged husband admitted embezzling 400 grand from the SNP. And...
are you content that more than 5 out of 7 new homes will go to immigrants?
Well, that's not the truth.
Yes, new analysis from the Tories suggests that half of Labour's new homes have been cancelled out by net migration. That's on the same day as... more illegal migrants arrived in the UK. Where are they all going to go? Plus...
I can announce that that case now will go to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal will now review the sentence in that case, and that is clearly the right outcome.
The sentences of 2 teenage boys who were spared jail for rape will be reviewed by the Court of Appeal. And... was British Airways right to stop a 13-year-old boy who with Tourette's syndrome from boarding a flight after he shouted bomb threats? And... could Ebola be on the way to the UK? On my panel tonight, Tory MP Esther McVeigh, GB News contributors Will Kingston and Kai Wilshaw. And what happens next here? Get ready, Britain. Here we go. But first, your headlines with Sophia Winsler.
Nana, thank you and good evening. It's just gone 9 o'clock. These are your headlines. The Prime Minister has vowed to take decisive action to tackle the impact of social media on UK children. Sir Keir Starmer made the comments during a meeting at Number 10, where the families of young people who have died because of links to social media urged him to ban it for under 16s.
We've had the worst situation possible, but we're determined to make a difference for other children.
Our group keeps growing and we don't want it to. We need better policing through the training and the funding so that they recognise these online crimes and know how to investigate them properly.
We also said to the Prime Minister that we want robust action, and that takes courage, and we asked him to have the political courage and the political leadership to stand up to big tech today.
The government's consultation on the matter, which has been running since March, closes tonight. It comes as senior doctors have warned that the threat social media poses to young people should be compared to smoking or not wearing a seatbelt. The Prime Minister has suggested that Nicola Sturgeon has questions to answer about how her estranged husband was able to steal £400,000 from the SNP. Sir Keir Starmer insisted Scots would be baffled that people in charge of the SNP say they didn't know anything about what was going on. His comments came after the former Scottish First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, insisted she had no knowledge or suspicion whatsoever that her then-husband had used party money to pay for personal items. 61-year-old Mr Murrell pleaded guilty on Monday to embezzling a total of £400,310 and 65 pence from the SNP between 2010 and 2022. 3 teenage boys who were spared jail after being convicted of rape will have their unduly lenient sentences reviewed after the Attorney-General referred the case to the Court of Appeal. 2 girls were raped in Hampshire by 2 15-year-olds who were given non-custodial sentences by a judge at Southampton Crown Court, who said he wanted to avoid criminalising them unnecessarily. Today was officially the hottest ever May Day, with the record being broken for a second day in a row. Temperatures hit 35 degrees at Heathrow and Kew Gardens, according to the Met Office. The soaring temperatures led to travel disruption as well as a series of open water fatalities in the past few days. It comes as the Met Office has now issued a thunderstorm warning for tonight, putting in place a yellow alert for isolated storms with lightning, hail and gusty winds from 3 p.m. until 10 p.m. A Sudanese man has pleaded guilty after 4 migrants drowned trying to cross the English Channel. Al-Noor Mohammed Ali was charged with endangering life after 2 men and 2 women died while trying to board a small boat in France on the 9th of April. The 27-year-old, who admitted to having piloted the vessel, appeared at Canterbury Crown Court today. NASA has revealed plans to build a permanent moon base the size of a city as part of an historic push to keep humans living on the lunar surface full-time by 2032. The update was delivered from NASA's headquarters in Washington, D.C., as the agency pushed ahead with its Artemis campaign. The NASA chief thanked those who made this project possible, including President Donald Trump. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Nana.
There once was a power couple of Scottish politics. Hollywood Scott Amell and George Clooney, but Holyrood once had Peter Murrell and Nicola Sturgeon. She was the First Minister of Scotland and leader of the SNP for nearly a decade, and Murrell was the CEO for over 2 decades, propelling the party from the fringes of Scottish politics to massive electoral success. But now it's been reduced to this.
I know nothing. What? I know nothing.
Today's Daily Record front page. Nicola Sturgeon does her best Manuel from Fawlty Towers impression after her estranged husband was carted away in a police van. He admitted embezzling over 400 grand from the party he used to run between August 2010 and October 2022. The police investigation sent shockwaves through the country when Nicola Sturgeon was herself arrested in June 2023, just a few months after she had stood down as First Minister. She was questioned by officers but never charged and isn't facing any further action. Sturgeon announced last year that she'd been separated from Murrell for some time. The current SNP leader and First Minister John Swinney will have the unenviable task of convincing voters to trust his voters once again. He branded Murrell's 400k embezzlement a betrayal.
By embezzling from the SNP, Peter Murrell was stealing the hopes, the dreams and the aspirations of thousands of people all over Scotland. People who gave what they could over many years in the hope that it would help contribute to a better country.
But there are massive questions for Swinney and other SNP top brass to answer about how Murrell was able to embezzle so much money from the party for so long. I mean, his shopping list was hardly subtle. There was the luxury 120 grand motorhome that he tried to hide on his mother's driveway. He used a 50k of party funds to help buy a Jaguar, and then he pocketed the profit when he sold it. But it appears he wasn't just a petrolhead, he also had a penchant for luxury watches. He purchased 2 Bremont watches with party funds, racking up an 8 grand bill. There was a 4 grand nicked for a fancy Mont Blanc fountain pen, 3.5 grand on a lovely silver wine coaster, and 110 quid on an electric pencil sharpener. Who could forget he embezzled over £2,500 for a pair of fancy salt and pepper grinders? Mr Murrell was clearly a coffee connoisseur, and he used party funds to bag a Miele coffee machine for just under 2 grand. Actually, he bought 3 coffee machines over a period of 4 years, racking up a 5 grand bill. And he shelled out over 300 quid on Le Creuset espresso and cappuccino mugs. And when he wasn't masterminding his party's political success or working out how to tear Scotland out of the UK, Mr Murrell must have been a gamer. He spent over 2 grand on gaming equipment over a 10-year period, including 200 quid on a PlayStation and 350 on a Nintendo console. His embezzling bonanza even extended to 75 quid for a so-called men's slouch pouch onesie and curry sauce paste for £11. I mean, that shopping list has left many wondering how on earth Peter Murrell's estranged wife couldn't have noticed something was amiss. She claimed she responded to in a lengthy statement yesterday, claims that she responded to in this statement. She said, "I want to reiterate that I had no knowledge or suspicion whatsoever that personal items had been purchased using SNP funds. I was cleared of any wrongdoing after a lengthy and thorough investigation in relation to many of the items in question. For example, expensive watches and games consoles. I was not aware of them having been purchased at all. In respect of any items I was aware of Peter having purchased, I had no reason to doubt that he had used his own money. We were both earning high salaries and, due to the responsibilities of my job, rarely socialised or went on holidays. We had separate bank accounts and I had no access to his financial records." Really? Well, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Conservative MP for Tatton Esther McVeigh, GB News contributor Will Kingston, and also GB News contributor Kai Wilshaw. It's the first one I've ever done in these shoes. I got the ring.
Very well.
I was very careful.
They are fabulous, though.
Thank you. Esther, the I know nothing, does that sort of seem a realistic thing for Nicola Sturgeon to not know? All the stuff, the list of things, surely she would have known something.
But hang on, this is a lady who's meant to have been on top of the detail for a decade as First Minister of Scotland. Know everything that's going on, but she doesn't know what's going on under her own nose. And it's just the quantity of these products and purchases that he's got. Yes, we know about the car, and yes, we know about the motorhome, but sort of some mundane things, but hugely extravagant. Like you said, nearly £3,000 for a pepper pot. You're talking, he got an Advent, salt and pepper pot. You're talking £200 for an Advent calendar. All I can tell you, if Phil had have come home from the supermarket with a Lindt chocolate Advent calendar, right, there would have been a Stewart's inquiry. But this one was £200. And pencil sharpens everything. No, she's taking us for a fool.
all.
Do you think... But there are, like, you know, if you have a separate bank account to your partner, right, and he's doing stuff, he's got a high salary, you've got a high salary, you probably wouldn't think he'd be stupid enough to spend $2,500 on pepper pots and stuff.
Yeah,
You know
so
what I mean?
you'd
You
ask
wouldn't
somebody.
know the value.
I mean, there's strange things. I mean, 4 coffee machines and they're all worth a few bob. You know, a tea set, a vanity bureau, all of these things. You'd be saying, where's the money coming from? You would say, if you just robbed a bank or something, how are you affording all this? But when he got a telescope, right, when he got a telescope, what, for the bedroom window, surely you would have been asking questions then. Peter, what are you doing?
Kai, what do you think? Come on, I mean, look, to be fair to her, like, they don't have the same bank account.
Yeah.
She has no reason to distrust him.
Yeah. No, and that's where I come at this story from. Because, look, I've been looking at this list. It's incredible, the stuff that was bought. But I can also believe, and you said, you know, Nicola Sturgeon was over the detail of Scottish politics. She led that country for so long. Well, of course, I can see a world where she had no idea. She was rarely home. They, by all accounts, sort of lived fairly separate lives anyway. There were always rumours. There were always rumours about that, Esther, as you know. And she was a workhorse. She was a trooper, I think, and she had a cause, right? And so I can see that world where actually you look at.
But if they had separate bank accounts, his wage was 100, and then it was meant to have gone down to about £79,000. So when she saw a motorhome parked on the mother-in-law's path for £125,000, a car for £50,000, oh, give us a break. What, she never went round to the family home?
He's parked it somewhere where she may not go.
So, isn't that the key as well?
No,
he was clearly, and he, as a thief, right? He was clearly hiding things around. I don't think that telescope was on full display. I'd imagine, but...
Well, the 4 coffee machines were everything else.
The argument is that he parked it at his mother's place, so she never saw it. Look, every viewer and listener at home who is married goes straight away, Kai, sorry, this does not pass the sniff test. You know it doesn't pass the sniff test. I know it doesn't pass the sniff test. They know, and they didn't have the added responsibility of being First Minister of Scotland with oversight for the SNP's expenses. So this raises questions. But the SNP point, I think, Nana, is also important here. So, look, she's out of politics now. If she has been involved in wrongdoing, I personally think she has. She needs to be held to account. But she's out of politics. The SNP still has this Stockholm Syndrome-like hold over Scottish politics, and it is partly because of the rotten leadership. And make no mistake, if you have someone like this who can get to the top of that party, by definition, you have a rotten culture. And as a result of that rotten culture in the party, what you've seen over the last 20 years is when it comes to poverty, when it comes to education, when it comes to growth, when it comes to deaths of despair, Scotland's either lagging behind the UK or just flat out in decline. And that is because of the type of rotten leadership you've had from this party. So surely, hopefully, this is a sign for change.
Isn't it? But if I was just looking at when he became chief executive, and it was in 2001, and then they got married in 2010. She becomes First Minister in 2014. But when was the period of time where he was doing his chief embezzlement? Was from about 2010 to about 2023. So you look at it all, and it becomes very uncomfortable when you look at the timing, when they were together, when they were in charge. She had oversight and had to sign off the expenditure. The whole thing has a bad whiff about it. I mean, obviously he's said he accept the charges and he's pled guilty. That's so they don't have a proper court case and look into what was going on, because I bet you it's shocking if they had a court case.
But you wouldn't say you were guilty if you weren't guilty for something like that.
No, I'm saying he is, but they've stopped any kind of court case and inquiry now, haven't they?
But he wouldn't plead not guilty because he knows that he's guilty for it. So that wouldn't make any sense. So he's pleading guilty because he knows that he's guilty. If that
I'm saying they haven't done a court case, because otherwise you'd look into it and her.
But if that means they don't do a court case because he's pled guilty, I mean, he's guilty, that's that. He said he is. So, you know, that if he said not guilty, then they'd have to go through it. Then they found he was guilty. I don't think that would work.
But I think they've tried to stop any investigation into probably her behaviour. I think that really Scotland should require an investigation into what she's done, what she knew. I mean, she was in charge of a country.
She may have been, but again, like I say, you know, if your partner is, say, an alcoholic or something like that, or doing something behind your back and doesn't want you to find out, I have seen where women, literally, the partner is the last person to know, even though she was at the head of the SNP. I have to be honest, I'm not saying that, oh, I know nothing is the defence, but I can see a world where she's been deceived.
Yeah, and can I just add one thing, right? What's been really, I mean, predictable with our politics, but quite impressive, really, the scale of it. Just the level of people coming out now, various enemies that Nicola Sturgeon has picked up, former SNP MSPs, you know, people we know with an axe to grind, coming out and saying, oh, it's inconceivable that she didn't know, without even thinking for a moment, giving the benefit of doubt, because they don't like her politics or they don't like her personality.
But people...
it is innocent until proven
No,
guilty.
hang on,
She
but
was
people within
interviewed
the
in relation to the case.
SNP brought up the case saying, hang on a sec, where has all this money gone from that we raised for another vote for independence? Where's it gone? So it was her own party members. So it wasn't people with a grudge. They said, where's it gone?
But what we've seen now is exactly
Kai, I admire your attempts at balance on this show, no matter how nonsensical
I'll give it a go. Surely you agree.
Even if she didn't know, the corporate governance in this party must be so bad that you can take huge amounts of money, you can allow someone who is married to the chief executive or the head of the party to still maintain some sort of oversight over the accounts.
I think it is that bad.
The party needs to be held responsible here, and it doesn't sound like it is.
Well, maybe when she became First Minister, they should have said, and you should no longer be the chief executive. There should have been a separation of powers, which it should have. And they didn't. You know why? Because it's more like a cult than a political party.
In a listed company, if this was allowed to continue, then the directors would be done for corporate negligence. Like, it is absolutely staggering.
Because you probably didn't know about, you know, Phil doing the £8,000 against him. I mean, did you know about your husband?
Any expensive salt and pepper shakers in your place, Esther?
I can honestly tell you, if Phil had to come home with something that I didn't know about, or I would have seen a collection of very expensive gifts, I would have said, well, hang on a sec, you've just got a pen for £4,000 and now you've got another 2 pens for several £1,000s and now you're bringing in these set of books and this one. Of course, I'd say to him, where is the money coming from? I would have said, have you robbed a bank, Phil? I would have said, who's coming to cash?
Win the bet? You wouldn't be elected.
But what?
Because, I mean, like, OK, so what about Phil when he put down apparently £8,000 for a bet that he would lose his seat?
I don't think he put down £8,000, but he did. Wow. But he did bet, and he does bet.
But did you know? Did you know?
Did I know he was? Yes, I know he bet.
So you knew he'd bet against himself not winning his seat.
But I knew it. No, but put it this way, I know that he bets. Of course I do. Yes, I do.
But you didn't know the exact bet that he put on?
No, I don't know the exact... But there's a total difference, and please don't combine the two, that somebody who's embezzled £400,000 against Phil, who might have placed the bet. No, that's an absolute outrage.
No, it's not that.
But do I know that Phil bets? Yes, I do.
Yeah, so I'm saying knowing about what your husband is doing.
And equally, can I point something else out? Betting is not illegal.
Oh, no.
It's his money, and he bets
£400,000 of embezzlement.
It's more about
whether you know what your husband is doing. That's what I mean when it comes to money. That's what I'm saying.
I think you need to separate out the two. One was illegal, and he will probably go to prison for 7 years. Phil taking a bet which was illegal is fully entitled to do. So please, Nana, you are so way off course saying that.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that it's about knowing what your partner is doing. And obviously what he did was totally legal, what Phil did. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that this whole thing is whether Nicola Sturgeon knew about what he was doing. And that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying it's possible for your partner to be doing stuff that you don't know what they're doing. But yes, I do take your point.
No, and I think that's completely, totally... not the same at all. I think you're way off course.
All right, well, I'm just saying, I'm just making a case for the fact that she may not have known what he was up to.
Can I add one other thing that we haven't talked about, and it's power, right? Because what Will talked about there, the governance arrangements being as they were, and what Esther said about the timing of this, that clearly when he thought that he could get away with it, he started stealing all this money, you know. I mean...
All right, well, listen, we'll come back to this. But right now it's time for the Great Veg giveaway, and there's plenty of chance for you to get your hands on a whopping £76,543.21. It's tax-free. Here are the details.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. What would you spend it on? Treat the family and friends to the ultimate summer party, or just relax with enough cash in the bank to make this year your best yet. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. So, what are you waiting for? For a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, well, coming up.
Many new homes have been built since Labour took power.
I don't have the exact. I'm not Wikipedia.
That's the moment that he may never live down. The Tories of today claim that half of Labour's new homes have been wiped out by net migration. That is on the same day that hundreds more small boat migrants arrived in the UK. Where are they all going to go? And was British Airways right to stop a 13-year-old boy with Tourette's from boarding a flight after he shouted bomb threats? That's next.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, this is Patrick Christys tonight, only on GB News. Now, were British airline staff right to refuse to let a boy with Tourette's who was shouting bomb threats board a flight to Spain? It's time now for our head-to-head. British Airways have been accused of discrimination after a 13-year-old boy with Tourette's syndrome was prevented from boarding a flight after he repeatedly shouted the word bomb. Mason Entwistle and his parents were turned away at the aircraft door at Gatwick Airport before being escorted back through the terminal by armed police.
Refusing your son and yourself to travel simply based off of safety, the fact that a threat
you are understanding he has lots of syndrome.
Yes, and I've said that to you. That's why I've consulted our investigators team.
Disabled child. You planted out in 2010.
No.
You refused the child until
We're not refusing him, sir, because he's got a disability.
Why are you saying the word, though?
We're refusing him because there's been a threat made that he has a bomb in his...
Now, the family say that they had informed British Airways about Mason's condition before travelling, brought along his diagnosis letter and ensured that he was wearing a disability lanyard. So tonight, I'm asking, was British Airways right to prevent Mason from boarding the flight? Going head-to-head on this are political commentator Ryan Mark Parsons, also journalist broadcaster Emma Wolfe. All right, Ryan, I'm going to start with you. Ryan.
Yes, well, I think they made the right decision at the time. And of course, I think anyone listening to this right now will have sympathy with the family. It's a very tragic situation in terms of them having to leave the plane or not even being able to get on the plane and miss their holiday. I think they were able to get a flight the next day provided by a different airline. But of course, it's completely challenging and difficult. And my sympathy is there for them. But sympathy can't override security policy. And if a child or whoever is making a bomb threat whilst they're making their way through an airport, of course they have to do something if that threat could be potentially real. I mean, it's incredibly distressing.
Yeah, but Ryan, the threat they knew wasn't real because they knew that he had Tourette's syndrome. So if you got Tourette's syndrome, you can't help. You'll say the most inappropriate things at the most inappropriate time. And he's only 13.
I'm aware. Yeah, I'm aware the family got in touch with the airline, but that doesn't mean every passenger immediately knows that the threat isn't real. So obviously, if I were, putting myself in this situation, if I heard someone repeatedly say the word bomb when I'm at an airport and I can see this individual boarding my plane, I would be concerned. And I guess they were also worried about perhaps that being said whilst the plane is in midair, and then mitigate any operational risks and concerns passengers would have had whilst the plane is actually flying thousands of feet in the air. I think there was a lot of concern over that possibility. And I, on that basis, can see why they took the action they did and subsequently refunded them after. So there was no loss financially for the family because, of course, it is incredibly difficult. And they did their best in terms of the family to ensure that the airline was aware. But I think passengers would have been concerned.
But they did tell the airline beforehand. He had his lanyard to say that he has a disability and that is the problem. And they were well aware of it. In the end, he was, really upset, visibly upset, and just begging for people to just, do you know what I mean? He didn't want other people to not be allowed to fly because of him. Emma, what's your take on this?
Well, Nana, everything you say, I completely agree with. The parents didn't just turn up at the airport, not thinking about it. They were very responsible. They informed British Airways in advance about their son's condition. Tourette's is an involuntary neurological condition. I actually know a little boy the same age as Mason who has it. And in high-stress situations, like flying, like being at an airport, like being surrounded by people, which can be very stressful when you have a neurological condition, it gets worse. Things that are, Tourette's, you do inappropriate things. The parents were really, really responsible in this case. I think they went above and beyond. They informed the airline about their son's condition. They carried the son's diagnosis letter with them, and the son was wearing a disability lanyard. What does this treatment, what does this panic by adults who should be more grown up, who should be able to assess the situation, what does this say to a 13-year-old boy? Basically, you're a mess, you're not welcome. He was lying on the floor. He was crying. He was apologising, Nana, for this situation, which he cannot help. It's involuntary.
Yeah,
I think it's shameful.
What would you say to that, Ryan? Involuntary, he can't help it. He was on the floor, really upset. I mean, if you were there, Ryan, and it was you getting on the flight that he was on, would you not think, actually, I can see that this child has an illness, so...
Yes, but I guess you never really know unless you're fully made aware of the details. Of course, British Airways were made aware, but not every passenger short-haul flight contains a plane. It has about 200 passengers on board. And I think it would have raised some fear, perhaps, amongst some of the passengers if they didn't know about this child having the condition. And during the flight, they heard the word bomb being mentioned. I think British Airways were thinking ahead. And I think I do accept there was a lack of planning. I think British Airways could have gone further to perhaps provide medical staff in advance.
What if it was your child, Ryan?
The airport.
Ryan, what if it was
my
your child, Ryan?
Or I would really get guarantees from the airline that the staff are going to be made aware, or at least there might be someone from British Airways coming with us as we're boarding the plane to perhaps make it very clear and obvious to all of the passengers that my child has this condition. It is completely involuntary. No one is blaming the child here, of course, but I also do sympathise with British Airways and trying to mitigate perhaps chaos on a plane if someone is saying the word bomb.
Emma, is that satisfactory to you?
You are blaming the child. By removing the child from the flight, by saying to that family, you can't travel, you are blaming the child. That's how the child will see it. Yeah, he's 13 years old. It's an involuntary condition. This is what I really object to with this health and safety culture, is that you're not speaking human, Ryan. You're saying, oh, I understand all that, but the passengers may have felt panic. So talk to them. Treat them like adults and say, we're really sorry about the delay, folks. There was an issue. This little boy has a condition, and just explain it. Just be grown up about it. Be human about it. Instead of which you've given a very strong message to that kid that he's abnormal, which, trust me, he lives with that every single day. If you have Tourette's, kids laugh at you, people stare at you. He has that message every single day. And I think what British Airways have done is absolutely shameful.
Yeah,
I don't think the reaction was perfect, but what I'm saying is airlines will get blamed harshly on either side, whatever action they take, but they will be blamed more harshly if they underreacted. And if someone, regardless of the context, is saying the word bomb whilst the plane is 35,000 feet in the air, it will cause concern.
All right,
and that's
listen,
what
we do have to leave it there. Well, we get what you're saying, Ryan, Mark Parsons, and also Emma Wolf. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Well, a British Airways spokesperson said that this was an extremely difficult, complex and distressing situation due to a number of contributing factors. The decision was made not to allow the group to travel on the flight. Right, coming up.
Are you content that more than 5 out of 7 new homes will go to immigrants?
Well, that's not the truth.
The Tories have today claimed that half of Labour's new homes have been wiped out by net migration. That is on the same day that hundreds more small boat migrants arrived in the UK. Where are they all going to go? But before that, I'll reveal how many foreign criminals have been deported since Labour took power.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. The heat wave continues across much of Central and Western Europe in particular. Lots of hot sunshine to come over the coming days. Temperatures close to 30 Celsius across the Canaries. Sunny spells here. Hot sunshine for Spain and Portugal. Perhaps 1 or 2 thunderstorms in the evening times. The risk of 1 or 2 showers. Southern parts of Italy across to Greece and into Turkey. But temperatures still on the hot side and staying hot over the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Metal Viz for GB News. The exceptional heat of the last few days now setting off lively thunderstorms in some places. Very hit and miss storms, but if you're hit by one during the next few hours, you will know about it. High pressure, nevertheless, continues to bring dry weather to the vast majority of the UK, increasingly so to Northern Ireland, much of Scotland. But overnight, we're going to see an area of low cloud and some drizzle head into the east of Scotland as well as northeast England. Elsewhere, clear spells, any thundery downpours tending to fade away through the night, although one or two could remain close to London and into Essex by dawn. And a very warm night, temperatures no lower than 20 Celsius across parts of the southwest of England. That's where the warmest start will be on Wednesday morning. Blue skies for many, although you wouldn't run out one or two of these showers still knocking about. The vast majority, though, sunny skies, temperatures very quickly rising once again. Northern Ireland, a warm and sunny day to come. Much of western Scotland likewise, but eastern Scotland for many parts of northeast England as well. We've got this low cloud that will tend to lift and retreat back towards the coast during the morning. It might take some time, and that's certainly going to lead to a different feel along this eastern side of England with a North Sea breeze. Temperatures significantly lower compared with the last few days, and that includes parts of the Midlands, the southeast as well, with temperatures in some places 5 to 8 degrees lower. But it's still very hot towards the southwest as well as for parts of Wales, temperatures exceeding 30 Celsius once again. Here we'll see a bit more cloud come along for Thursday, perhaps even the odd shower, and there'll also be some cloud lingering around the east coast. And this is a slow trend later this week towards lower temperatures widely across the UK. Many places stay fine, but with a bit more cloud and temperatures back towards the low 20s.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Nana Akweer. And the government was busy celebrating new figures today that revealed the equivalent of one foreign murderer has been deported every single week since Labour took office in 2024. Almost 10,000 foreign criminals convicted of the most heinous and serious of offences have been removed from Britain under tougher deportation measures introduced by the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood. Those kicked out include nearly 100 murderers, more than 600 sex offenders and over 2,000 drug criminals. Now, they were returned to countries including Albania, Romania, Vietnam and Poland. Currently, only criminals sentenced to over a year in jail face automatic deportation. Well, joining me now to discuss this is Home Affairs and Defence Editor at the Daily Express, Michael Knowles. Michael, I just don't get it. I think if you come to a country, you commit a crime, you've got to go. I mean, if why are we even saying, oh, well, if your sentence will be over a year, then you've come to a country, you're there as the guest, you've broken the law, sling your hook.
I think this is an argument that is becoming wider and wider across the political spectrum. The Tories have said that they'll deport all foreign criminals. Reform have said that they'll deport all foreign criminals. And to be fair, Labour have tried to make changes to this area. So last year, they reduced the threshold, if you like, that they can boot people out of prison earlier. So that's gone from 50% to 30% because they're trying to get out an extraordinary number of foreign national offenders that are just clogging up our prisons. A little context for you. There's over 10,000 foreign criminals in our prisons. That's 12%, 1 in 8, just blocking up the prisons. And God knows we've got enough of our own criminals as well.
So why are we doing this, though? Is there some reason why we can't send somebody back because they've broken the law? It's surely not the ECHR. If you've broken the law in the country that you're visiting or coming to stay or a guest of, is there something that enables them to stay after they've broken the law? Why should they be allowed to stay here having, you know, I don't get it.
I'm afraid it's the dreaded Article 3 and Article 8 of the ECHR. It is the Conservatives have told me it's the Criminals Charter. Reform have said very similar to me. It's basically human rights laws that guarantee people a right to a family life and freedom from torture. Now, these treaties are widely over abused and they're manipulated to suit certain claims. So we've seen farcical claims in the past where foreign paedophiles have claimed that if they are removed from the UK, that it will affect their family life. And I think most reasonable people find that an absolutely ludicrous position. But if you look at the data that we looked at this morning and that you're reporting on, they're countries that are frankly in the EU. They are signatories to the EU, ECHR. So they are the easy ones in lots of ways to do removals with. They're not getting to the really tricky countries like Afghanistan or Pakistan that come with so much more controversy around it.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, isn't it? The number of it is that a lot of foreign criminals, and many of them from Afghanistan who've come to this country, we don't appear to be able to get rid of them at all, and that's a problem, and I agree. OK, we'll give the Labour Party, the Labour government, some credit, because they've actually done quite well in terms of getting people out of this country, so they are focused on it. But surely we can do so much better. Other countries who subscribe to the ECHR, I think Germany is sending people back to Afghanistan. Why can't we do the same?
Well, Nigel Farage just says that he would talk to the Taliban. And I think there is a general trend here where people are asking why. I mean, we saw that in the wake of the Nuneaton rape case, where the young schoolgirl was brutally raped by 2 Afghan men. And they were given 15 years in prison, and there's a whole separate conversation to have about that, whether that sentence is even appropriate. But then we can't remove them for their human rights, and it winds people up so much that there's nothing that we can do about these people.
It winds me up immensely, and in particular because I suspect we pay for the legal aid that they will use to try and get themselves out of the predicament that they put themselves in after, in many cases, arriving here illegally or potentially legally. But either way, they've put themselves in that predicament, and then we, the British taxpayer, get the privilege to pay for legal aid? I mean, really?
I mean, let me give you an example. It costs £54,000 a year to host a criminal in prison. So the Conservatives, about 18 months ago, came up with a really interesting piece of research where they looked at how much it would cost to just deport the entire foreign population in the prisons. And it was 360 million. And when you really extrapolate that down, you do get to a point where you're thinking, is that a discussion that we want to have as a society? Is that a worthwhile investment? The Conservatives are making that case. Reform are certainly making that case. They're both, as you know, they want to abolish the ECHR. They want to get out of it as quickly as possible. It's what's going to be one of the first things that Reform do if they win the next general election. So there is a direction of travel here, and I just would not be surprised if in 18 months' time we're talking about similar deals that Germany are talking about with the Taliban.
Yeah. Because you just can't carry on like this. Is totally unsustainable. It's absolutely absurd. Michael Knowles, thank you very much. He's the Home Affairs and Defence Editor at the Daily Express. Thank you. Well, Alex Norris, the Border Security and Asylum Minister, said that these figures show we are delivering on our promise to remove those who threaten public safety and break our laws. The British public rightly expects anyone who commits serious crimes to face the consequences, and that includes being removed from this country at the earliest possible opportunity. But we are not complacent, which is why we're introducing landmark legislation to help address the scale of illegal arrivals and remove those with no right to be here. We will continue to go further and faster to ensure law-abiding families feel safe in their communities. Well, coming up...
Many new homes have been built since Labour took power.
I don't have the exact... I'm not Wikipedia.
It's going to be one of my favourite moments on GBNews. The Tories of today claim that half of Labour's new homes have been wiped out by net migration, and that's on the same day that hundreds more small boat migrants arrived in the UK. But where are they going to go? Before that... Europe is bracing itself after 2 potential Ebola cases were detected in Italy. How long before we have cases here in the UK? We'll find out next.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're here at Lucky Hedgehog Rescue in Grimston in East Yorkshire for Hedgehog Awareness Week this week, and we're joined now by the founder, Lucy, of the charity. Lucy, hello. You're just about to take Ben out here. You've got 43 sick and injured hedgehogs here at the moment. Just tell us what's wrong with Ben.
Ben had a broken leg and it was a nasty fracture, and our lovely vets at Barton Veterinary Centre in the Humber have amputated the leg. It's a hind leg, and he's thriving really, really well, but we have to take them case by case. But I'm just going to check on him again and weigh him while you're here, so we don't unnecessarily disturb him. But this is what we have to do every day anyway, so we've saved him for you.
Thank you. So I'll just let you take Ben out now. You've been going for 13 years now. This is sort of part of your home, is the Hedgehog Rescue. Slowly and slowly you've been expanding to look after one of the nation's favourite, or beautiful Ben there, the hedgehog. Obviously this week is all about raising awareness for hedgehogs. What are tips that people can follow to look after hedgehogs that they may see in their gardens and around?
Well, the main injuries we get in are caused by dog attacks and strimmers. We've lost thousands to them. So if people can be aware of their dogs at night or at dusk, keep them on a lead or be with them in the garden so that they don't attack hedgehogs. Strimmers, learn to use them properly.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Acquair. And Europe is bracing itself tonight amid concerns that a rare strain of Ebola, which has no cure, may have hit the continent. A health expert has been issued in northern Italy after 2 aid workers developed Ebola-like symptoms following a 3-month trip to Uganda. They've both now been taken to a hospital in Milan, which specialises in infectious diseases. Officials in the Democratic Republic of Congo are battling to contain an outbreak of the disease, which has killed over 200 people, and there are currently no vaccines or medications that can treat this rare strain of the virus. In a bid to stop the spread, American officials have introduced screening at airports for passengers arriving from Ebola-hit countries. So should we be following suit, or going one step further and banning flights from Ebola-hit countries altogether? Well, I'm joined now by GB News' health editor, Lucy Johnston. Lucy, what do you think about this? I mean, it seems to me it's quite straightforward in my view. I would ban all flights from any region that is hit by Ebola, because it took them ages to work out that what was going wrong was that people being infected with Ebola, which has enabled this to spread so heavily in the DRC. So I wouldn't really be comfortable. Why are we doing flights from these regions to the UK?
Well, the question is not whether Ebola is dangerous, it clearly is, but it's whether travel bans would make Britain safer. So Ebola was identified as long ago as 1976, and we've had really large outbreaks before. The last one was in 2014, and 28,000 people were affected. And we do have good measures, surveillance measures for detecting and picking up cases. And because it's not like COVID, it doesn't spread through coughing and spitting, it's only close contact, it's quite easy, much easier to contain, and the incubation period is a bit longer as well, it's quite a lot longer, up to 21 days, so we can contact trace back. And I think that because there is a fear that if you start banning people, putting travel bans in, there's a fear that travel will go underground and people go to third or fourth countries to get in. And also there are deadly outbreaks of all sorts of things all over the world, all over the time. And where do you stop? It's the thin end of the wedge. We've got dengue fever, Lassa fever, we've even got the plague. And these things happen all the time. And it's just whether this is to make the country safer. We've only actually ever had 4 cases in Britain, despite dozens of outbreaks.
Well, that's because every time it's come across, then a lot of flights have been cancelled, and we stopped travel between the regions. I'm horrified, actually, that they're carrying on with this. It's quite clear this is a strain. There's no vaccine, there's no medication for it, there's no cure. It hides for 21 days potential incubation period, and it spreads through coughs, sneezes, or contact with the mucus or whatever, and or contact with surfaces that somebody who's had the disease has made contact with, and then can stay on that thing for 6 to however long many weeks. And, to me, I'm wondering why it took such a long time for them in the DRC to work out that this was Ebola, because it was a different strain. And now they've worked it out and they've realised that it spread quite badly. Nobody seems to be doing enough, I think, to stop travel.
Well, we didn't stop travel before, and the only cases that ever reached this country were 3 aid workers. That's since 1976, and 1 lab worker, none of whom died. It is difficult to spread, and it is easy to pick up. And what the fear is that if you start trying to ban things, things do go underground. And we do have good surveillance measures. The UK Health Security Agency is tracking and it is screening people, and it may step up those measures. But I understand, the stakes are high, and it's a very deadly disease, and it's very nasty.
All right, Lisa Johnson, thank you very much. Thank you. Right, coming up.
Are you content that more than 5 out of 7 new homes will go to immigrants?
Well, that's not the truth.
The Tories have today claimed that half of Labour's new homes have been wiped out by net migration. That's on the same day that hundreds more small boat migrants arrived in the UK. Where are they going to go? Plus, 3 teenage boys who avoided jail for rape will have their sentences reviewed. Tomorrow's newspapers in a few minutes.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Metal Viz for GB News. The exceptional heat of the last few days now setting off lively thunderstorms in some places. Very hit and miss storms, but if you're hit by one during the next few hours, you will know about it. High pressure, nevertheless, continues to bring dry weather to the vast majority of the UK, increasingly so to Northern Ireland, much of Scotland. But overnight, we're going to see an area of low cloud and some drizzle head into the east of Scotland as well as northeast England. Elsewhere, clear spells, any thundery downpours tending to fade away through the night, although 1 or 2 could remain close to London and into Essex by dawn. And a very warm night, temperatures no lower than 20 Celsius across parts of the southwest of England. That's where the warmest start will be on Wednesday morning. Blue skies for many, although you wouldn't run out 1 or 2 of these showers still knocking about. The vast majority, though, sunny skies, temperatures very quickly rising once again. Northern Ireland, a warm and sunny day to come. Much of western Scotland likewise, but eastern Scotland for many parts of northeast England as well. We've got this low cloud that will tend to lift and retreat back towards the coast during the morning. It might take some time, and that's certainly going to lead to a different feel along this eastern side of England with a North Sea breeze. Temperatures significantly lower compared with the last few days, and that includes parts of the Midlands, the southeast as well, with temperatures in some places 5 to 8 degrees lower. But it's still very hot towards the southwest as well as for parts of Wales, temperatures exceeding 30 Celsius once again. Here we'll see a bit more cloud come along for Thursday, perhaps even the odd shower, and there'll also be some cloud lingering around the east coast. And this is a slow trend later this week towards lower temperatures widely across the UK. Many places stay fine, but with a bit more cloud and temperatures back towards the low 20s.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it is 10 o'clock. I'm Nana Akwe, covering for Patrick Christys tonight. Breaking news on the front page of The Independent, a massive intervention from Sir Tony Blair. He's slammed the Prime Minister, warning that he lacks a coherent plan. He's accused Labour MPs of playing with fire, and the country now risks relegation from the Premier League to Nations. Also tonight.
Are you content that more than 5 out of 7 new homes will go to immigrants?
Well, that's not the truth.
New analysis from the Tories suggests that half of Labour's new homes have been cancelled out by net migration. That's on the same day as more illegal migrants arrived in the UK. Where are they all going to go? Plus,
I can announce that that case now will go to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal will now review the sentence in that case, and that is clearly the right outcome.
the sentences of 2 teenage boys who were spared jail for rape will be reviewed by the Court of Appeal. And on my panel tonight, Tory MP Esther McVeigh, GB News contributors Will Kingston and Kai Wilshaw. And what happens next here? Get ready, Britain. Here we go. But first, your headlines with Sophia Wensler.
Nana, thank you. It's just gone 10 o'clock. These are your headlines. Today was officially the hottest ever May Day, with the record being broken for the second day in a row. Temperatures hit 35 degrees at Heathrow and Kew Gardens. According to this, the soaring temperatures led to travel disruption as well as a series of open water fatalities in the past few days. It comes as the Met Office has issued a thunderstorm warning for tonight, putting in place a yellow alert for isolated storms with lightning, hail and gusty winds. Sir Tony Blair has warned Labour against forcing out Sir Keir Starmer without having a proper policy agenda to follow him, as he launched a criticism of the government's time in office. The former Prime Minister, who is the only Labour leader to win 3 general elections, argued the government needs a fundamental reset less than 2 years since it won the election. Sir Tony said Labour is lacking a project and was playing with the future of the country in his 5,700-word essay, which was published tonight. A man has been arrested in connection with the terrorist attack at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue last year. The 49-year-old has been arrested in Salford on suspicion of failing to disclose information regarding to terrorist activity. The arrest is linked directly to the attack that occurred on Thursday, the 2nd of October 2025. During the incident, 2 men were killed and 3 other men sustained serious injuries. The Prime Minister has suggested that Nicola Sturgeon has questions to answer about how her estranged husband was able to steal £400,000 from the SNP. Sir Keir Starmer insisted Scots would be baffled that people in charge of the party say they didn't know anything about what was going on. His comments come after former Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon insisted she had no knowledge or suspicion whatsoever that her then husband had used party money to pay for personal items. 61-year-old Mr Murrell pleaded guilty on Monday to embezzling a total of £400,310 and 65 pence from the SNP between 2010 and 2022. Tehran has accused the US of violating the ceasefire agreement after American forces attacked Iran overnight. The US military said it conducted self-defense strikes on Iran yesterday, targeting a number of sites in the south of the country. But Tehran has called it a gross violation. Iran criticised the bad faith and unreliability of Washington, adding that it would be held accountable for all consequences arising from these hostile acts. NASA has revealed plans to build a permanent moon base the size of a city as part of an historic push to keep humans living on the lunar surface full-time by 2032. The update was delivered from NASA's headquarters in Washington, D.C., as the agency pushes ahead with its Artemis campaign. The NASA chief thanked those who made the project possible, including President Donald Trump. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Nana.
Oh, good evening. Nana Aquia sitting in for Patrick Christys tonight. And just a reminder of the breaking news from a few moments ago. A massive intervention from Sir Tony Blair, excuse me, on the front page of The Independent. Sorry. He slammed the Prime Minister, warning that he lacks a coherent plan. He's accused Labour MPs of playing with fire, and the country now risks relegation from the Premier League of Nations. The former Prime Minister says that Labour had held back business and growth since it won the election. Tony referenced the increase of employers' national insurance, the Workers' Rights Bill and the rise in minimum wage. He also was critical of the government's spend on welfare and called for the triple lock on pensions to be reformed. He said that the government should not have stopped the US from using its RAF bases during the attacks on Iran. Well, I'll have more on that very shortly. Right, well, I've cleared my throat now. Right. Almost half of new homes built since Labour took back power have been cancelled out by the housing demand created by net migration. New analysis from the Conservative Party has revealed that an estimated 312,606 people have been added to the population through net migration alone since Labour swept into power in 2024. Now, the Tories say that this influx has created a new demand for 130,166 homes, which is actually equal to 47% of the properties that the government has built. Of course, when they won that landslide election back in 2024, Labour ministers pledged to build 1.5 million homes this Parliament. But fast forward just over a year, and Housing Secretary Steve Reid didn't seem to know how successful his department had been in delivering that promise.
How many homes have you built so far under Labour?
Well, do you know how long it takes for a planning application to go through?
Just how many?
Do you know how long
Just
it takes?
Just give me the figure.
Well, we're currently dealing with
the figure.
We're currently dealing with the tail end of what the Conservatives were doing, because it takes more than 18 months from an application to the home being built.
Please answer the question. How many houses have been built under Labour so far?
Starts have gone up by 29%. What I can't do...
Can you give me a figure?
Well, I know it's really low, and I'm appalled by it as well, but that is because the Conservatives didn't get the applications
Please don't tell me you don't know the number. You don't know how many
homes? You only know it
homes?
because it's written in front of you.
Well, but I'm not in charge of housing. How can my producer have this figure and you not have it?
Well, because somebody's researched it for you and given it to you, and someone hasn't researched it for me and given it to me.
Is anyone really taking this guy seriously? Honestly, we have millions of Brits on waiting lists for new council homes, including military veterans, but because of mass uncontrolled migration, they are being forced to wait. Now, last year, around 200 local authorities expressed interest in taking part in a government pilot project that gives them money to build new housing or refurbish derelict properties for asylum seekers. As part of the Prime Minister's promise to end the use of migrant hotels by the end of this Parliament, illegal migrants are now being moved into private rentals in towns and cities up and down the country. Now, when she was Housing Secretary back in 2024, Angela Rayner insisted that there were enough houses to go around.
Are you content that more than 5 out of 7 new homes will go to immigrants?
Well, that's not the truth, and that's not the case.
What will happen?
Well, that's not the reality, because where the 2.5
million immigrants that are in Rachel Reeves' budget figures going to turn out? Where are they going to live?
Well, there's plenty of housing in the UK, but the houses, especially
hang on. You can't, on the one hand, say we've got to build this 1.5 million houses, and then say there's plenty of housing already.
There is plenty of housing, Trevor, already, but there's not enough for the people that desperately need it.
But we can all see the pressure the migration crisis is putting on our country, and it's not about to stop at any time soon. And today, GB News can exclusively reveal that the number of migrants that have crossed illegally via small boats on the Channel since Friday has surpassed 1,100. And this morning, a migrant boat launched from the furthest away beach on record, proving that people smugglers will stop at nothing to continue the illegal trade and avoid police patrols to the north. And over 72,000 small boat migrants have arrived in the UK since Keir Starmer took power. 201,000 have arrived since the crisis began in 2018. The question is, where are they all going to go? Right, well, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Conservative MP for Tatton, Esther McVeigh, GB News contributor Will Kingston, and GB News contributor Kai Wilshaw. All right, Will Kingston. OK, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, it's extraordinary that politicians like Angela Rayner will try and have you disbelieve the law of supply and demand. Now, to give her some credit, I'm not sure she actually knows the law of supply and demand or what that is. It's very, very simple. If you have greater supply, if you have greater demand, i.e. more people, you need to build more houses, and it is very obvious at the moment this government is not building houses quickly enough. But there is an uncomfortable truth here, and that is we heard recently crowing from the Labor Party that reduction in net migration to 171,000 somehow meant some sort of return to normalcy, when really that is still a shockingly high net migration number, which continues to put strain on housing, on the economy and on the cultural fracture within many villages and cities of this country. If we are serious about having any sort of stability in the housing sector and the economy and having any sort of return to a greater level of social cohesion, the country will need to have net negative migration for some time to come.
Esther.
Well, Will's right that housing supply is the ultimate in supply and demand. It is the ultimate. You know, you need more housing, you've got more people. The last time that we had sort of net migration at zero or very low was in the 80s and 90s under sort of the Thatcher era, and then since Blair it's been progressively sort of permanently positive and getting sort of worse, and the worst year was end of March 2023. So it's about time all politicians woke up to the fact that we need less people coming into this country because the infrastructure cannot maintain the number of the population. But you know, those figures are right. What was it, 200,000 homes or something were built last year, and you've got a demand from immigrants coming in of about 100,000 homes. So we're not building enough. But the main problem is there's too many people coming into this country, and we're never going to house them.
We're never going to build enough.
We're never going to build enough.
We're not going to do it.
And when the Labour Party came forward with 1.5 million homes they wanted to build by the end of the Parliament, actually all the building sector went to them and said, this is never going to happen. And what they've built now is less than has been built consistently from 2015. So they were never going to build 1.5 million.
Yeah, but to be fair to the Labour government, lots of the changes they've made now will take a long time to filter through. So what you might see is that 1.5 million new homes, and I think has been intimated by the ministers in charge, you might see not that many right now, but then it sort of rapidly increasing by the end of the Parliament. That's the idea. Yeah, but they've got lots of headwinds, haven't they? Because you've got the building safety regulator, which is choking up lots of new developments. You've got high interest rates, the cost of sort of supplies and so on, and a shortage of skilled workers, as well as the fact that they've only just gone and taken a hacksaw to the planning system, making it easier for lots of these starts to actually build that number of homes.
And the construction industry is having a very, very tough time. I think 300 companies went bust in February alone. They've been hit with whether it's tax increases, minimum wage increases, workers' rights, raw materials going up. So they are not building at this rate, and the companies are going into liquidation.
And Kai, even if you're right, and let's face it, by the time that you are proven wrong, we will have forgotten this conversation, and much like the Labour Party...
No. I'm happy to... Hang on. I've just run out of a bet on
We've got you on video.
So we can have a bet. We can have a bet on it.
The fact of the matter is, even if it does ramp up, they are responsible for housing policy now, and therefore they are responsible for ensuring that there are enough houses for the people coming to this country.
Exactly.
At the moment, because they are still addicted to mass migration, they are not making that responsible decision.
That is just total nonsense. You look at the net migration figures and how much they've come down.
Yeah, that was Rishi Sunak stopping dependence.
Well, hang on. Yeah, but it had to happen, didn't it? Because look what we had in 2022. You want to talk about how much of this housing supply is being eaten up by migration. Well, let's talk about the fact that there were 870,000 net migration in 2022. And how many housing starts were there, Esther? 178,000.
Kai, that is it's like going from a 10-0 loss in football to a 4-1 win.
I agree.
It is still unacceptable.
Look, obviously. And I don't disagree.
I think what we can all agree on here, sort of moving forward, migration way too high. We've got to get back to Margaret Thatcher levels. Yeah. That's what we need. So, and the Labour government hasn't smashed the gangs. It hasn't stopped people coming in. It's still too high. Yeah. And ideologically, they don't want to stop immigration. So that's one problem. And then the other problem, separately, is the construction industry. And then the other one is how many really can you build a year? And 1.5 million over a parliamentary term was sort of pie in the sky.
Yeah, but to the point that you made just now, the one on, obviously asylum seekers and how many asylum seekers are coming is stubbornly high. But that's not really the type of immigration that we're talking about when we're talking about who's taking over,
well, no, it
who's
is.
using the housing supply. Well,
no,
it's not.
No,
because
it is.
asylum seekers have no recourse
but it's
to council housing,
it's part of the problem because they're moving. Because they're moving them from hotels, aren't they, to HMOs? So that then takes away the rented housing stock or any other housing stock. Which means doesn't matter. It still means that housing stock in this country is being now taken up by people who've come out of those hotels to use in private rentals, which means once again there won't be enough houses.
I agree, but compared to other types of migration,
but it's all the same pot. It doesn't matter.
People coming on skilled worker visas.
They still need a house.
That's a much bigger issue, and that doesn't matter. But on those measures, immigration is coming down. On lots of those other different measures, only on asylum seekers is where the real problem is.
You still need to put them somewhere,
and that's not.
You still need to put them somewhere.
I agree, but most of them are not going to HMOs, are they? Many of them are going to various detention centres that are being set up and are currently sitting in hotels, aren't they? Or they need to be deported.
To be clear, they will not be detention centres because they won't be detained.
Yeah, you can't detain them.
What do you mean?
You can't keep them in. You can't keep them in one space.
They're building. But they are literally building a number of new centres. The army barracks one, for instance, as well.
But what we know is hundreds of thousands of people still coming in. They'll all need somewhere to live, a roof over their head and a bed. And what we're saying is we cannot accommodate it, neither build them or accept that many people into the country. What is key? Stop immigration, get it down to, as you said, Will, for a period of time, negative net migration, and that's the only way we can go forward.
Yeah, but that's going to take time, isn't it? Just like building more houses is going to take time.
So what
about this time next year, we come back and we sit on this sofa, and I reckon on both those measures, housing starts and on migration, net migration, we will see an improvement on both.
When you say an improvement, can you be slightly more specific? Because
more houses being built.
How many more?
More. Okay. Well, how many do we have right now? How many do we have right now? You have the figures here. I have different figures. Well, 200,000, is it?
Yeah. Well, about 208.
Yeah.
208,000.
202,000.
All right. Well, this is completely plucking it out of the air. Yeah. But let's say net migration is what? 100 and.
But that's already 100,000 fewer than it should have been.
And look, there's a crunch, isn't there? There's a crunch. Both at the same time in the housing sector, they've really struggled to get houses built as quickly as they thought they might, and at the same time, migration hasn't dropped as quickly as they thought it would. That's what we're talking about, isn't it?
It's like a perfect storm, a negative perfect storm for the construction industry on lots of reasons, which I gave you: NI, national insurance, taxation, costs for everything, right? So that's not going well for the Labour Party and the government. Letting so many people into the country is not going well for the Labour Party and the government. And what we have to do is speed all of that up. Stop immigration, get building if we can.
The new overhauls to the asylum system only came into force in the start of March, didn't they? The newest Shabana Mahmood measures. So again, you're seeing a delayed reaction in both of these areas on migration and on house building. It is.
Yeah, but okay. So we hear all that. There aren't enough houses. They're not building them fast enough, and there's no way they're going to be able to do the 1.5 million that they said in the time. Even if they do suddenly accelerate, because where are they going to put these houses? And also, well, there's too many migrants coming in constantly.
And there aren't enough builders.
There aren't enough builders.
And the red tape burden has increased rapidly. So even though they might have eased up the planning, the red tape regulation is another reason that everyone...
Final word to you.
I would just ask, what in the history of this two-year government gives you any sort of confidence that they would have the productivity or the efficiency to be able to deliver on what you've just suggested? And I can even see in your eyes...
totally fair.
Well,
there is nothing. That is complete pie-in-the-sky thinking on your part.
Well, migration
because it'll be next year. Remember, it's always jam tomorrow. It will be next year.
Yeah, new Prime Minister, it's a new Labor government, a new hope, so
I think it could be Tony Blair.
I think it probably is.
Don't scare the viewers, Esther. That's awful of you.
Well, he's just...
After his speech, he's definitely fighting for the top job.
Well, he's just said that basically Labour lack a coherent plan. We'll be getting stuck into that in the papers. But right now, it's time for the Great British Giveaway, and there's still plenty of time to get your chance to win £76,543.21. It's tax-free. Here are the details.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. What would you spend it on? Treat the family and friends to the ultimate summer party, or just relax with enough cash in the bank to make this year your best yet. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. So, what are you waiting for? For a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Coming up, I'll have all of tomorrow's newspapers' front pages and breaking news on the front page of The Independent. A massive intervention from Sir Tony Blair. He has slammed the Prime Minister, warning that he lacked a coherent plan. More on that shortly. But before that, high-profile terror and spy cases could be televised for the first time ever. I'll reveal all in a few minutes.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good good evening. Just a reminder of that breaking news from a few moments ago. A massive intervention from Sir Tony Blair on the front cover of The Independent. He has slammed the Prime Minister. He's warning that he lacks a coherent plan. He was also critical of the government's spend on welfare and called for the triple lock on pensions to be reformed. He said the government should not have stopped the US from using its RAF bases during the attacks on Iran. I'll have lots more on that very shortly. It's about 5,700-word essay that will be published fully tomorrow, which you can read in The Independent. But first, terror trials and high-profile spy cases are set to be televised for the first time ever, under plans to dramatically expand cameras into Britain's courts. The sentencing remarks delivered by the Chief Magistrate Paul Goldspring, the senior district judge, will now be broadcast. Now, he's previously overseen cases including that of Liam O'Hanna, a member of the Irish rap group NECAP, who was charged with terrorism offences. Justice Secretary David Lammy says that the reforms will improve public understanding of the courts while also helping diversify a judiciary long dominated by white men. Nearly half of judges are women now. I just don't know what to say about this. Joining me now to discuss this is barrister Philip Taylor. Philip, I'm wondering how putting cameras in for, say, spy cases, terrorism cases, I would have thought that would be the last kind of case that I would televise, just in case you end up with copycats or anything like this. I just don't get it. What is David Lammy, in your view, trying to achieve?
Well, David Lammy is doing what he normally does. That is, he is letting us all down. He's been a great disappointment to many of us with what he's done so far. And this concept now of televising just about everything is just simply unacceptable. It's important, I think, for the public to know what sentencing remarks are passed on defendants at the end of a trial. That's important. Yeah. But the idea of extending it to terrorism and to a whole range of areas, family law in particular, is, to my mind, completely unacceptable and just not in the interests of anybody. These are matters that have to be dealt with by the courts, and I think it should just stay there, and we should just have a minimal amount of televised activity.
I mean, with the Crown Prosecution Service on its knees, literally, this is what he's come up with? To put cameras into cases that actually you probably wouldn't want these sort of the full thing televised. He's not really given us an idea of how much of it will be televised, but I just don't understand what would be the benefit. What's the value?
The value probably is to save his political career, putting it bluntly, because he's been, as I say, a big disappointment to us in the legal profession. But there again, unfortunately, as you've seen with Mr. Blair's intervention this evening, that we're in the same position again, where the left and the right in the Labour Party are fighting it out. And I think Mr. Lammy is trying desperately hard now to push more of a left-wing agenda, which is very much against the conservative with a small c approach, which most lawyers have, irrespective of their party political allegiance. But I think he's been a big letdown because he's actually not doing what I think we all expected him to do, which is to show the gravitas of the role of Lord Chancellor and to adopt that sort of approach. Mind you, of course, I'm a bit of a rebel because I didn't really like the idea of the changes to the role of Lord Chancellor in the first place. Yeah. But however, we are where we are. But I think the Labour Party should really rethink what they're doing, because the sentencing policies at the moment and the Sentencing Council itself has to be, I've called for it to be scrapped in the past, but I think having looked at it again, it's probably better if the Sentencing Council is fully looked at again in terms of its guidelines. And it's there for a purpose, and that is to just give advice to the judges. Yeah. I think they're afraid of going outside that remit. I think that's the problem.
Can I ask you about this case, the one with the 3 teenage boys who avoided jail after they were convicted of rape? Now they're having their unduly lenient sentences reviewed. The Lord Attorney General, Lord Hermer, has referred the case to the Court of Appeal to consider whether the punishments should be increased following mounting public and political pressure. Announcing the referral, the Prime Minister said it was the right thing to do.
Is distressing. I find it distressing as a politician. I find it distressing as a father. And there are questions about the sentence. The Attorney General has power to refer a case to the Court of Appeal if the Attorney General thinks that the sentence is too lenient. The Attorney General has now exercised that power, so I can announce that that case now will go to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal will now review the sentence in that case, and that is clearly the right outcome.
Philip, what do you make of this case? Because, I mean, it just seems a bit shocking that they literally, well, they weren't punished, really.
Well, they haven't been punished. You've got to be very careful when you deal with youth justice. The reason being that we, as a concept, we do not want children and young people to get into the adult prison system. I do understand that point, but I do feel that what is being put forward here, the sentence is completely out of touch with reality. And I'm actually quite surprised, frankly, because today the judiciary have got a very responsible approach to these types of sentencing policy. And my concern really with what we've got at the moment is the fact that they've gone in the wrong direction, because they really ought to be thinking, apart from the problems of what these people have done, they must think about the role and the problems of the victims. And they seem to have been completely ignored when it comes to the type of level of sentence which has been passed. And I hope the Court of Appeal, which I would expect them to actually review and probably change the sentencing that has taken place.
Yeah. And very, very briefly, I just want to squeeze this in. Jury trials, David Lammy's jury trials. What are your thoughts on cases that are less than 12 months likely to be punished? What do you think?
Well, I don't agree at all with what Lammy is doing on that. I believe that we should cherish the concept of the jury trial. These are people who are very important parts of the legal process. And I can say as a practicing barrister that I have actually been on a jury. I've heard 3 different cases, so I've seen it from both sides. And I believe that you have very sensible, very carefully thought decisions made by members of the jury, and I therefore think we should not be changing just because there's maybe perhaps a little bit of a saving of money or whatever it might be. I don't think the issue of money is actually relevant here at all. What he's doing is tampering with something he should leave alone. Leave it the way it is because it's working. Don't break something when it's out working reasonably well.
All right, Philip Taylor, barrister, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Right, coming up, I'll have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and breaking news. On the front page of The Independent, a massive intervention from Sir Tony Blair. He has slammed the Prime Minister. He's warning that the Prime Minister lacks a coherent plan. We'll have more on that next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. The heat wave continues across much of Central and Western Europe in particular. Lots of hot sunshine to come over the coming days. Temperatures close to 30 Celsius across the Canaries. Sunny spells here. Hot sunshine for Spain and Portugal. Perhaps 1 or 2 thunderstorms in the evening times. The risk of 1 or 2 showers. Southern parts of Italy across to Greece and into Turkey. But temperatures still on the hot side and staying hot over the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. The exceptional heat of the last few days now setting off lively thunderstorms in some places. Very hit and miss storms, but if you're hit by one during the next few hours, you will know about it. High pressure, nevertheless, continues to bring dry weather to the vast majority of the UK, increasingly so to Northern Ireland, much of Scotland. But overnight, we're going to see an area of low cloud and some drizzle head into the east of Scotland as well as northeast England. Elsewhere, clear spells, any thundery downpours tending to fade away through the night, although 1 or 2 could remain close to London and into Essex by dawn. And a very warm night, temperatures no lower than 20 Celsius across parts of the southwest of England. That's where the warmest start will be on Wednesday morning. Blue skies for many, although you wouldn't run out 1 or 2 of these showers still knocking about. The vast majority, though, sunny skies, temperatures very quickly rising once again. Northern Ireland, a warm and sunny day to come. Much of Western Scotland likewise, but Eastern Scotland, for many parts of North East England as well, we've got this low cloud that will tend to lift and retreat back towards the coast during the morning. It might take some time, and that's certainly going to lead to a different feel along this eastern side of England with a North Sea breeze. Temperatures significantly lower compared with the last few days, and that includes parts of the Midlands, the southeast as well, with temperatures in some places 5 to 8 degrees lower. But it's still very hot towards the southwest, as well as for parts of Wales, temperatures exceeding 30 Celsius once again. Here we'll see a bit more cloud come along for Thursday, perhaps even the odd shower, and there'll also be some cloud lingering around the east coast. And this is a slow trend later this week towards lower temperatures widely across the UK. Many places stay fine, but with a bit more cloud and temperatures back towards the low 20s.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen,
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good evening, this is Patrick Christys, tonight only on GB News. I'm Nana Aguirre. Let's take a look at the front pages for tomorrow's newspapers. On the front of The Independent, this is the breaking story: why Labour must return to the radical centre to reverse Britain's decline. So Tony Blair, 5,700 words, all of that in there. Front cover of the Eye, Britain at risk of becoming irrelevant. Blair turns on Labour rivals. On the front cover of the Daily Express, that leads with Step Up Care to stop kids dying. Then The Guardian, Russia relentlessly targeting UK infrastructure, spy chiefs are warning. The Metro leads with My brother's 7 months in Dubai hellhole. Coming up, Tony Blair's intervention continues to make the front pages. So should we take a look at that? Let's have a look at this one. So The Independent, why Labour must return to the radical centre to reverse Britain's decline. So Tony Blair, he's saying that. 5,700 words. He's basically, it's a big essay. He highlighted a number of areas which he disagreed with the government since it came into office in July 2024. I mean, what a shocker.
He is both correct and even by the standards of Tony Blair, staggeringly insincere for saying it. So, look, Keir Starmer is, politically speaking, as blind as a bat. He is totally lacking in any sort of vision. But even if this was a Thatcheresque or Churchillian type of person who did have a political vision, it would be incredibly hard in today's Britain to be able to implement that vision. And you know why? Because of the constitutional vandalism of Tony Blair, because of the quangocracy that he set up, the rule of lawyers, the fact that now it is so hard to get anything done without a judicial review challenge or without a quango getting in the way or without some sort of civil servant telling you cannot do this. Therefore, it is very hard for even the most visionary politicians to actually make change happen. And that was by design, and that was by design from Blair. So a centre-left bureaucracy could basically just keep things trucking along without the democratic will of politicians.
OK, so what specifically did Blair do that you would say has made the situation the way it is?
Several legal changes, like the Human Rights Act, for example, like the increasing embrace of the ECHR, all of these laws which basically put unelected judges in power, the massive proliferation of quangos throughout his time there. I don't know the exact numbers of the total increase in quangos, but what now is there 200 and something odd quangos in this country, something like that. It makes it very, very hard for politicians to get anything done to get past that civil service and that quango layer.
Kai Wilshaw, come back on that.
I'm not defending Tony Blair, am I?
Not?
Am I? No, look, I mean,
just wondering what
I
you
think this will be a very unwelcome intervention. Well, we could expect that, right?
Well, from Keir, everybody else is cheering it on, but not Starmer.
Both for Keir, but also, I mean, he calls out Burnham and Streeting for saying that now sort of we have the Labour Party has an incredible capacity for self-delusion, he says, and that trying to force the Prime Minister out without a policy direction isn't serious. Well, I think Burnham and Streeting would argue, number one, you have to have a contest to understand what our policy direction is. But also, I think, some of the things that they've been floating recently are, to their credit, say, Wales Streeting's wealth tax that works and his new special relationship with the EU. We might not like it. You certainly don't. But those aren't radical ideas, more radical than what Keir Starmer's done. So to say that they don't have a plan is a bit rich coming from Tony Blair. And as Will says, the timing, I mean, he's just... I don't really understand who this is meant to benefit. Lots of these things we know already.
Even Andy Burnham and Wes Streeting would probably admit that Labour doesn't have a plan. A lot of people have said Labour doesn't have a plan. Oh, yeah. So he's not really saying anything that is particularly, radical when he points that out. No. So he's right. They don't have a plan by the look of it.
I mean, it is damning what he's written and lacking a project's part of it, but he's also saying how much they've got wrong. If it were to be about growth, then your welfare's not working, your employers' national insurance hike wasn't, the workers' rights bill, the minimum wage, the acceleration of net zero, phasing out of British oil and gas. I mean, he's absolutely gone into where he thinks Starmer's government has failed. And he said, and if it were a priority of growth, well, you should be doing that. You should have eased up on the net zero. So I think what he's saying is spot on. Remember, this is the only Labour Prime Minister who's won 3 elections who did have the Blair project. Now, where Will is completely right, he did start sort of the expansion of quangos, so there is no accountability in government. They can't really take control and oversight of what's going on because they are arm's length bodies independent of government. So he sowed the seeds of failure. However, on this, I think he's on the money. Mind you, what would be a laugh a night to think this? I think Blair wants to come back. I think he's saying, I'm better than all you guys.
I think he is better than all of them.
Politically. The reason she likes it is because he's coming back as a Tory.
He's not a Tory.
All this
is not a Tory.
No, much of this about...
Isn't it a bit of a cheek, though, that he's talking about how Keir Starmer should have allowed the US to use the bases given his sort of Iraq legacy,
Yeah, that's I think on foreign affairs issues, he ought to know better than to get involved. Probably should stick his nose out of that one, don't we think?
But I think lots of people thought, Keir Starmer is weak on pretty much everything. And where he said, I didn't get involved, no, he just U-turned. He didn't sort of go either side. It was a war that was happening around him and he was too late to say what he was doing, and then he didn't pick a lane and he sort of reversed on it. But I think Starmer, there's only one bit here which I think Starmer should take as a bit of positive. He is sort of saying to the contenders, don't force out the Prime Minister when you don't know what you're changing him for.
But the reality is that Starmer is terminal. I think everyone knows that now. And Tony Blair is, for all of his faults, a very, very canny political operator. So we have to wonder, what is the subtext here? Why is he going out and doing this? And who is he really supporting? Now, ideologically, I would have thought it would be Wes Streeting over Andy Burnham. But I'd be curious to know what's going on behind the scenes here and how is he trying to, utilise the dark arts to either undermine Burnham or to push Streeting.
Burnham was a Blairite. Burnham was
he's been everything, hasn't he?
Exactly, but he was in Blair's government. Remember, Burnham actually was the man who helped deliver private health in the NHS in the Blair government. So you never know. I just think Burnham bends to whoever is in charge. But I think, but it is a significant intervention, this, Kai. It's a significant intervention.
Honestly, I don't think anybody should ignore what Tony Blair has to say. He's an election winner. The Labour Party needs election winners. We've not been in government very long, and now with this government, frankly, who've made a total mess of it thus far. I think it needs turning around. This is where I really disagree with him. I think it is time for a new Prime Minister. But he is right. They need to have a vision that is different to what he calls the soft left comfort zone.
Tony Blair is touting for work? Because obviously he's got the Blair Institute. He's got lots of ideas. Maybe he's just touting for work. He wants in.
It's quite good, isn't he? What he's done is he's got a can of worms there that he's created.
He's got his son.
Now he's taking the lid off.
His son involved in apprenticeships as well, hasn't he? His daughter-in-law, isn't she just got a big contract for AI, 500 million oversight of a project?
Is it no surprise, then, that what lots of this boils down to, he's abandoned social democracy, social democratic principles. This is basically a neoliberal agenda that he's promoting.
Do you think?
There's not even an ounce of
I don't think so. No, he's also found net zero. Well, look, we'll do more of this because obviously I think it's quite hot news, really, isn't it? Tony Blair. Coming up, Tony Blair's intervention continues to make the front pages on the Daily Mail now. Blair's savages, Labour's lurch to the left. More on that. Stay with us.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in, Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages. Because the news is going to happen. So get a head start today. Patrick Christys tonight, Late Edition. Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
11 World War II veterans here for the celebrations today, and one of them is Paul Terry, who served here in the Netherlands. In fact, Paul, this is what you looked like when you served here, and you served alongside your twin brother, whose medals you're wearing now. Paul, what do you remember about serving here in the Netherlands? Because the operation didn't quite go to plan, did it?
No, it didn't quite go to plan, and we were more or less ambushed, I suppose you call it, because, as I said, we were told that we were going to just walk into Ireland and liberate them and take it, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. I don't know where the cock-up happened, but when we arrived there, there were also the German Panzer Division, which is a tank division, and there the trouble started, and it was rather nasty from there on. We were halted where we should because we were land troops, and the parachute, we were told the parachutes had landed, and they unfortunately copped it very badly.
So how does it feel then to be back here for the celebrations today?
Well, it's great, really. It really is great there. You see the smiles on the faces, and the Dutch people are so nice. It's unbelievable what they went through, and we honour them very much, and we do appreciate what they do for us when we do come over here, because they treat us like royalty. And there we are. I'm very happy to be back for the second time, but whether I should get back for the third, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's in God's hands.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Good evening, this is Patrick Christys tonight, only on GB News. We're looking at tomorrow's front pages. The Daily Mail leads with, now Blair savages Labour's lurch to the left. On the Times again, Tony Blair has literally made all the front pages. Lurch to the left puts Britain at risk, Blair tells Labour. And the Mirror, the right decision. That is, again, I don't know what that's about there, the right decision, an appeal court. That is the appeal court for the rape, of course. That terrible, ridiculous decision. So thank goodness that there's appeal against those lenient sentences. The Sun leads with paddling fools. What all that's about? It's 35 degrees Celsius and water chiefs moan about kids' pools. Really? Gosh, honestly, that's a bit sad, isn't it?
Urging parents to only half-fill paddling pools.
Why don't you just get a bucket instead and stick your feet in it?
Telling us only to half-fill a paddling pool because you don't want to waste water. I mean, really? Perhaps they could sort out all the leaks and everything else. I mean, it's sort of pot kettle. Hello, water companies. Really? I can't believe they've got the nerve. But the big story, though, on the front cover, I'm looking at the Mail now, savages. Now Blair's savages Labour's lurch to the left. And, of course, it does appear that Labour want to scoop up the Greens vote, because a lot of people seem to be turning to the Greens because they're not happy that Labour haven't gone left enough. But Tony Blair has issued a savage warning, 5,700-word essay that I think you'll probably find on the Blair Institute website. But you've got, literally, he's commandeered nearly all of the front pages.
Yeah, the more I think about this, we still live in the shadow of Blair. This isn't about Blair saying, Labor, you need to find a new project. This is, guys, you need to protect my project. The Conservatives maintain the Blairite project. They didn't try and argue against it. We still live in that shadow today. What he is seeing is, as the uni party falls apart and reform rises, as Restore starts to make some waves, he is seeing there is a very real chance that the system will be blown up in the next few years, or particularly come 2029. He's going, absolutely not. I cannot have my legacy being destroyed in that way. Labor, pull yourselves together, or else the great Blairite project will fall apart.
Well, I think he blew his own legacy up with the
Well, that as well. That as well.
I think there'll be lots of the great and the good of the Labour Party and donors reaching out to Tony Blair to say, can you knock some sense into this party? You know, they've been out of office for 14 years. They've only been in for 2 and it's over. So can you, as the ultimate grandee who's won 3 elections, tell them what to do? And basically he said, look, you know, the party's going to a comfort zone. It's going to the left. It's boosting benefits and not the economy. And then he also said, look, it's not about problems, Keir's personality problems or a failure to communicate achievements. It's that the Labour Party hasn't got a plan of what it's going to do. And he's spot on. There isn't a plan. It oscillates from one thing to the next. 18 or however many U-turns shows there's no plans and there's no vision and there's no principles or authenticity.
Yeah, and where I agree with Tony Blair, actually, is he's sort of saying there needs to be a big debate, there needs to be a policy discussion, so that you can break free a little bit from what I perceive to be what you're seeing Burnham do at the minute, which is recommit to lots of things that Keir Starmer's been committed to, the manifesto, the fiscal rules, stuff like that, which are putting him in exactly the same straitjacket as Keir Starmer's been in.
Before an election, he has to recommit to the manifesto.
Well, but why would he?
He has
this
to
is what Blair is saying. What Blair is saying is that there should be a policy debate out in the open for everybody to see, so that people can choose a leader, and that giving a new mandate, at least from the Labour Party, to pursue a different agenda.
This might be a bit old-fashioned, but usually you've had your policy debates before you've won an election, so that you come in with plans of what you're going to do.
14 years to have a policy debate. That is, I think, one of the most extraordinary things about this government, which I still think about a lot, is what were they doing in that 14-year period? There was so much time to have a plan. And
but I guess, was this a good time for Blair's intervention? We know that you've got a by-election coming up, you know, you've got upheaval in the Labour Party. Has he made this intervention at a strange time, a helpful time, or a deeply unhelpful time?
Well, that is a question he can answer, and if you have time to read 5,700 pages or words it is, then maybe you will. But thank you very much to my brilliant panel. But stay with us here on GB News. Do not go anywhere, because there's a whole boatload full of news I'll be sharing with you in just a moment. But before that, we're going to check out the weather. But stay with us, because we're going to delve deeper into this incredible essay and intervention by Sir Tony Blair after this.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Metal Viz for GB News. The exceptional heat of the last few days now setting off lively thunderstorms in some places. Very hit and miss storms, but if you're hit by one during the next few hours, you will know about it. High pressure, nevertheless, continues to bring dry weather to the vast majority of the UK, increasingly so to Northern Ireland, much of Scotland. But overnight, we're going to see an area of low cloud and some drizzle head into the east of Scotland as well as northeast England. Elsewhere, clear spells. Any thundery downpours tending to fade away through the night, although one or two could remain close to London and into Essex by dawn. And a very warm night. Temperatures no lower than 20 Celsius across parts of the southwest of England. That's where the warmest start will be on Wednesday morning. Blue skies for many, although you wouldn't run out one or two of these showers still knocking about. The vast majority, though, sunny skies. Temperatures very quickly rising once again. Northern Ireland, a warm and sunny day to come. Much of western Scotland likewise, but eastern Scotland for many parts of northeast England as well. We've got this low cloud that will tend to lift and retreat back towards the coast during the morning. It might take some time, and that's certainly going to lead to a different feel along this eastern side of England with a North Sea breeze. Temperatures significantly lower compared with the last few days, and that includes parts of the Midlands, the southeast as well, with temperatures in some places 5 to 8 degrees lower. But it's still very hot towards the southwest as well as for parts of Wales, temperatures exceeding 30 Celsius once again. Here we'll see a bit more cloud come along for Thursday, perhaps even the odd shower, and there'll also be some cloud lingering around the east coast. And this is a slow trend later this week towards lower temperatures widely across the UK. Many places stay fine, but with a bit more cloud and temperatures back towards the low 20s.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
We'll stay with us coming up in late edition. There's one big story in town, and it is the Big Blair story, a 5,700-word essay about how the Labour Party has lurched to the left could destroy the UK. I mean, he has literally picked apart. He said there's no point changing the leader if you don't have a direction. He said we need to know where you're going and what exactly you're going to do with the party. All of this after the big by-election that's on this way. I mean, seriously, we'll delve right into that and find out more about Tony Blair's essay.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. Put a new car on the drive or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here
It's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Nana Akwe, and this is Patrick Christys Tonight Late Edition. A major intervention from Sir Tony Blair this evening. The former Prime Minister says that Labour must return what he calls to the radical centre.
Nevertheless, and the other admission I have to make here straight up is that my husband does most of the shopping in my household, so...
Sir Keir Starmer has said questions need to be answered after Nicola Sturgeon's estranged husband, Peter Murrell, embezzled £400,000 from the SNP, including £11 on curry paste.
The question now is not whether we do something, we are going to act. I'm absolutely clear.
The Prime Minister promises to take action on social media as Labour won't copy Australia, but rather protect children from addictive features.
Man City game. I couldn't watch Man City game.
Come on. What's happening? How are you enjoying this hot weather?
Too hot.
Britain boils again. Another record-breaking day of heat as London records the hottest May day ever. 35 degrees as water chiefs moan about kids' pools being filled up. Well, joining me this evening, GB News contributors Christo Fufas, Kai Wilshaw and Paul Cox. But first, let's get your latest news with Sophia Wensler.
Nana, thank you. Your headlines at 1 minute past 11. Sir Tony Blair has accused Sir Keir Starmer of having no plan to fix Britain as he launched an attack on the Labour leader's record in office with a 5,700-word essay. The former Prime Minister, who is the only Labour leader to win 3 general elections, argued the government needs a fundamental reset after retreating into a left-wing comfort zone. He criticised the government for decisions on welfare, stopping the US from using its RAF bases during attacks on Iran, and urged Labour to do whatever it takes to stop the small boats crisis. However, Sir Tony warned Labour against forcing out Sir Keir Starmer without having a proper policy agenda to follow him. The UK record for the hottest May day has been broken for a second day running as parts of London surpassed 35 degrees. But thunderstorms are on their way tonight. The soaring temperatures led to travel disruption as well as a series of open water fatalities in the past few days, with police tonight confirming a 5th person has drowned in the heatwave. A man has been arrested in connection with the terrorist attack at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue last year. The 49-year-old has been arrested in Salford on suspicion of failing to disclose information regarding terrorist activity. The arrest is linked directly to the attack that occurred on Thursday, the 2nd of October 2025. During the incident, 2 men were killed and 3 other men sustained serious injuries. NASA has revealed plans to build a permanent moon base the size of a city as part of an historic push to keep humans living on the lunar surface full-time by 2032. The update was delivered from NASA's headquarters in Washington, D.C., as the agency pushes ahead with its Artemis campaign. The NASA chief thanked those who made the project possible, including President Donald Trump. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Nana.
Good evening. Welcome to Patrick Christys' Late Edition. I'm Nana Akwir. This is GB News. Let's take a look at the front covers of tomorrow's front pages. The Daily Record starts with "Bring Nick to Book." Interesting. I think that's referring to Nicola Sturgeon. On the front cover of The Independent, we've got "Why Labour Must Return to the Radical Centre to Reverse Britain's Decline." That'll be the Tony Blair essay, 5,700 words, but it won't be in that paper. In the Eye, "Britain at risk of becoming irrelevant. Blair turns on Labour rivals." The Daily Express leads with "Step up care to stop kids dying." In The Guardian, Russia relentlessly targeting UK infrastructure, spy chief warns. The Metro, my brother's 7 months in Dubai hellhole. Daily Mail, now Blair savages Labour's lurch to the left. The Telegraph, the Times, lurch to the left puts Britain at risk, Blair tells Labour. And The Mirror, the right decision. That's, of course, referring to the case that is being reviewed with that those lacklustre sentences for those rapists. And The Sun, paddling pools, or paddling fools even. That's obviously referring to the water companies who've leaked billions and billions of gallons of water and are complaining that we're filling our pools too full. Yeah, really. You can make it up. Right, let's kick off with Sir Tony Blair. OK, so this is big. Sir Tony Blair, the Blair Institute, 5,700 word essay. I'm going to lead with the Daily Mail. He basically says, ex-Prime Minister issues blistering verdict on Starmer's government, but warns that moving even further to the left with Burnham is doomed to fail. Yes, the former Prime Minister has accused Keir Starmer of having no plan to fix Britain as he launches an attack on the Labour's leader record in office with a 5,700-word essay. Blair says, among other things, that Labour's lurch to the left puts Britain at risk and argues that the government needs a fundamental reset. What, another one? After retreating into a left-wing comfort zone. He criticised the government for decisions on welfare, stopping the US from using its RAF bases during the attacks on Iran, and urged Labour to do whatever it takes to stop the small boats crisis. However, Sir Tony warned Labour against forcing out Sir Keir Starmer without having a proper policy agenda to follow. Right, well, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Political commentators Kai Wilshaw, broadcaster and commentator Christo Foufas, and GB News contributor Paul Cox. Paul Cox, I will start with you on this one.
Look, this is delicious. I absolutely love this story. I genuinely do. I know Christo does as well. We haven't had a chance to chat on this, but I know he will love this story. It feels like Labour's mum has come in to tell them off. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like Labour have got themselves in an awful mess because they don't know what they're doing without Big Daddy Tony. And Big Daddy Tony has come in and said, look, this is what you need to do. Things will only get better if you come towards the right. Unfortunately for Mr. Anthony Blair, there is no one available from the centre to lead that party. I mean, Wes Streeting used to be, but now he's competing with Andy Burnham to outfight who can rejoin the European Union, or whether a woman's got a penis or not. It's all very far-left nonsense again. And I think Tony Blair might have a point, but I think it's over for Labour, and the fact that he's had to come in and tell them off is testament to that.
You're right. It is the equivalent of, look, I only left the room for 5 minutes and then one of them has soiled themselves and the result is Keir Starmer. Because unfortunately, I mean, this is just... what I find also hilarious, I know we've done the Mail front page, but also what The Independent have said about this. Why Labour must return to the radical centre. That's like me saying, I'm going to paint my room in radical beige. You know what I mean? It's like the radical centre. There's no radical at the centre.
It gets better, because in the essay he says radical but sensible.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you think I'm going crazy.
Not radical. The only thing you can be absolutely sure of, though, is that this will be brilliant for us and brilliant for all of the people that are interested in talking about it, and political junkies like us and commentators. Those people actually in the Labour Party who make the decisions will just go, oh, yeah, that's nice, and then just carry on moving further and further to the left and think, you know what, as a result of what Tony Blair is going to say, I think we should increase the benefits bill. And that will be what will happen as a result of this.
Yeah, it will have gone down like a warm bucket of sick.
But will it change anything?
Not just for Starmer. I wonder what exactly... So, Tony Blair's not stupid, right? He knows that there are some things in here that will be totally dismissed out of hand by some, especially on the soft left of Labour, who hate his guts anyway. But what I'm interested in is what he's trying to get at. And I think, from what I can tell, right, from reading the tea leaves here, he's arguing for what Wes Streeting argued for a few weeks ago. He wants not to be a coronation. He doesn't want any of that because he sees that as the way madness lies and the takeover by the soft left. What he wants is a contest, this policy battle of ideas, which is exactly what Wes Streeting wants. So I think that's what he is pushing towards. And that is a good, you know, that's achievable.
Wes Streeting's first big idea, his first, shot that was fired, right, was... Oh, a wealth tax. Yeah, another...
It wasn't the first.
Tax.
It literally wasn't.
It was.
It was
not.
not.
It was the first thing we heard from him.
When was that?
After
when
he
was
said
that?
he was going to stand, a few days later, he said,
a few days later?
Yes.
So you're ignoring all the things that he said in that speech where he said that he would stand?
Yeah, okay. Give me some other, Blairite, slightly centre-right, centrist stuff that he said in that speech that you could point to that was not red meat for the backbenchers of that party.
Well, so he said that we need a new special relationship with the European Union, not to rejoin right now, but maybe sometime in the future.
Oh, how right-wing is that?
That's number one. That's number one.
That's your big example.
For instance, it's entirely sensible if you, I don't know, run an exporting business in the UK. I'll continue. So he also said that tech moguls can now own a lot of the power over the means of disseminating information and so on, and we have no means of holding them to account.
So more regulation.
No, not necessarily. I don't think
know
that's
that
what he
the
was
AI
calling for.
firms basically, complained about what Wes Streeting was saying and saying that he could destroy the industry.
Oh, AI firms complaining, that surprised me not at all.
You can't argue that he's pro-business. You can't argue that he's this pro-business centrist and then come up with something that he said that was about more regulation and joining the EU.
That's pro-business. That's centrist. But being in having a closer relationship with the EU is not some mad leftist utopia fantasy. It is totally sensible.
You don't think he was just talking to the left of the Labour Party?
Well, maybe he was.
Of course he was.
But he was trying to win a leadership election. But the point being, I think Tony Blair is trying to make sure that there's just not a coronation for... Andy Burnham. And what's also interesting is he's basically criticised all of the things that both Burnham is pushing for, but also Rayner succeeded doing in government, hasn't he? He said NI, workers' rights, and the rise in minimum wage is what he's called out as particularly egregious examples of Labour's failing. Those are all Rayner things.
Sorry.
It's interesting.
I was going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt. I've been trying to interrupt several times, but unsuccessfully. And I don't want to speak over you, Kai, because, we've got to have the